most valuable asset is your time. Bear none, bar none, whatever. No matter what, your most valuable asset that you have in this life, your life, is your time. So I'm going to go over a few things. How do you spend your time? How are you going to spend your most valuable asset? I call that a pre-decide. You don't have to pre-decide everything. I mean, react accordingly and make sure you're doing the best you can at the time that may be. No matter what, you can't control the situation, but you control your reaction to it. You control what you do in situations, good or bad, horrible or amazing. You control how you respond, your reaction. You cannot control what happens for the most part. So now, pre-decide. What does that mean? Pre-decide means, well, if you have an ethic, morals, something like that, and you just go along and you got to pre-decide, how am I going to have a family? Am I going to have my own family? Am I going to have children? Or maybe am I going to have multiple children? That kind of stuff. That kind of family. Or how am I going to act with my family as I'm growing with my parents or my grandparents around or my cousins or whatever. Who's ever my family, how am I going to react? How am I going to treat my family? How am I going to be around my family? No matter what the scenario that happens. Bear none, bar none, period. No matter what the scenario that happens. I.e., think of the last 3.5 years. Last 3 years. Did you stay away from family because of fear? Did family stay away from you because of fear? Do you not get along with family because of the politician that's running or the politician that's talking, or because that family member believes in this politician and you may believe something else, even though they're the same bird, just two different wings? My aspect on that, my thought, like I've said before, it's WWE, it's a show, that's all it is. It's entertainment to keep us entertained as they continue to steal from us, steal our freedom, steal our wealth, steal everything that we have and our future generations will have. But bear none, that's it. So, pre-decide on food. What does that mean? Well, you could go out and buy 20-year, 30-year storage of food. You could buy that kind of stuff that sits, and can be there and be good for 20 years, be good for 30 years in case something happens that you can't control. Like maybe stores are closed because of some scary thing that they say that's out there, so you can't or you don't go to church, or you can't or you don't go to the grocery stores that you normally did. You have to go to the big box stores, and you can't or you don't or you're not able to buy certain items in the store because it's blocked off, chained off, roped off, whatever. You're not allowed to, because over the last within the last 3.5 years, I remember there was times in aisles where they had arrows, which direction you had to go. They coordinated that. So that in itself that's a pre-decision that maybe you should have made, or maybe you're going to make now. If they try to do something like that again, I'm not going to obey. I'm not going to go along with this, because I know more about the subject that they're trying to scare me with, or maybe I don't know more about the subject they're trying to scare me with, but I do know my reality and my reaction, and I'm not going to listen to something I feel is everything plus idiotic. We got building. So building, how are you going to build? What does that mean? Well, how are you going to build your family, build your wealth, build your character, build your stamina, build anything that maybe if you decide to have children, or you do have children, how am I going to build their relationship that they have with others in the family, or just others overall? Or how am I going to build and teach them to build for themselves, whether that is financially or that's to learn an educational kind of standpoint, whatever it is. How am I going to do that? So pre-decide. if something comes up and it's just not right, you've made that predecision that I'm not going to go along with it. I'm not going to drown them in everything sports, and that's all that matters. So you go to school, you go to government school, and then after that, then you have football, or you have volleyball, or you have soccer, or you have baseball, or whatever you might have, and then that's practice. And then on weekends, you do the same thing for those activities. So you have no time for anything else. You have no time for learning. You have no time for building character. No time for building anything else, because that's the most important thing in your life right now, because that's what you're instilled from your father or your mother or both. That's the most important thing, are these sports. And that's the way most of society is now. You got to predecide, no, I'm not going to do that. I'll let them play a little bit here and there, but that's it. I'm going to predecide that. If there's a game on Sunday and we go to church, we're going to church. Or if there's a game on Saturday and we have a big family event, we're not going to the game on Saturday, because the big family event's more important. Or if there's a game on such and such day and they have to study, or they have to get rest, or they have to do whatever, this game is not happening, because this is more important. I pre-decided that these things are more important. Yes, they want to play baseball or volleyball or whatever it is. Yes, they can do that. But we've pre-decided, I've instilled them that you have to take the road that's higher, the road that's morally better and more beneficial to you and, society and everything as a whole. Because in the end, for the most part, overall, they're not going to be professional sports ball players. I'm not saying none of them are, but odds are very highly against it that they need that much time and that much money and stuff sunk into them while they're developing and young. And it's the time for them to start learning other real skills and real values. Health is another thing. Pre-decide. Am I going to listen to these talking heads on television programming, or these doctors in butcher coats that tell me, well, you need to take this over-the-counter medication, or you need to take this injectable, or you need to take XYZ, because that's what I was told by a big pharma rep, and the side effects are horrendous, but this is best for you. You got to decide that, no, I'm going to look into things first. I'll get a second opinion, or I'll get a third opinion, or I'm going to just not listen to either of them, and I'll look into things myself, and then I'll get a second or third opinion on that level, whether it's I'll see a pharma doctor, and then I'll see a holistic doctor or a naturopath, and then I'll read about it myself, and then I will decide, instead of just taking the first thing that's thrown at me. That's a pre-decision. Money spent. How are you going to spend your money? Are you going to buy $9 coffee lattes daily and spend $45 in 5 days on that? Or is that money better spent on an ounce of silver and something else for one of your kids, or something else for your wife or your husband, or maybe just put away so you can save up for your next ounce of silver? Or maybe it's, I'm going to buy XYZ because I'm going to need that for the garden, I'm going to need that for the garage, I'm going to need that for whatever it is. How about money saved? What kind of assets? What assets should I be spending my money on instead of this latte or this other thing, or going to the bar all the time, or the casino, or whatever it is? I'm going to invest in my life and my legacy of my future generations and my kids, my children, my grandchildren, whatever it is. So with that, any extra money that I have, I'm not going to blow it on that kind of stuff. I'm going to be thrifty, and I'm going to start putting money into an account because I'm going to buy some land, or I want to buy some land for a food plot, or land for a garden, or I want to buy some precious metals, some gold, some silver, or I want to buy some land to eventually build on, or maybe I'll buy some land so my children will eventually want to build on. Tools, I'm going to save up, or I'm going to start buying tools, just manual tools maybe, because I don't have much, but I'm going to get some screwdrivers, some wrenches, some ratchets, whatever it is I need eventually, so I don't have to keep going to pay for my repairs on all my stuff. I can do simple things. Change my oil, change my brakes, that kind of stuff, because I've learned about it. I've spent my time learning about that kind of stuff, so I don't have to spend all that money all the time, and I can just take care of it myself. Or teach my children at the same time. So it's a learning experience for them. That's spending your time wisely. So pre-decide, anything I do, I'm going to involve my children so they can start to learn, whether that's the garden or whether that's outside target shooting. Like I said, working on the vehicle or house repairs, home repairs, that kind of stuff. So it's how to respond in situations. That's the biggest thing. So that's the pre-decisions that you make. Maybe 5 years from now, you'll come to that point, you're like, well, I pre-decided this thing, so right now I'm at a crossroads, I'm going this way because I pre-decided I'm going to morally do this, or I pre-decided that family is the most important thing, or I pre-decided that this is the most important thing, and this other thing can go away. Like I said, over the last 3 years, 3.5 years, will you do it again? Are you going to pre-decide now how you're going to react, how you're going to respond? Will you restrict your movements? Will you allow them to restrict your movements? Will you restrict your interactions with people, with family members, with friends, with loved ones? Will you restrict your oxygen? You know what I'm talking about. Your oxygen intake. Will you restrict that? Let them coerce you to restrict that because you want to do this or do that. How about restrict your child's development? Will you restrict your child's development next time? Or allow them to restrict your child's oxygen flow inside while they're breathing? Restrict where you're able to go, what you're able to do. Whether that's church, that's school, that's shopping, that's whatever. Are you going to let them restrict you again? Are you going to allow that? Or even restrict your entertainment? So I know I've seen sports ball games years ago, not long ago, you know what I'm talking about, where there was no one in the crowd, no one in the audience. And you're going to allow them to do that again? If that's your biggest deal, I know. I just ripped on sports ball and sports for the most part. Nothing wrong with it. It has its place. But the problem is that little place that it has, it's taken over for the most part. So everything that really matters is in that little place that sports did have. But sports is taken over. Now everything else is suffering, just stuck in that little place because sports has taken over. That's my opinion on it. But anyways, I just want to get over this. Again, pre-decide how you're going to spend your time, your most valuable asset. So once again, I want to thank you for watching. As always, protect yourself, your family, your health, protect your wealth.